And we're live. Hey everyone, welcome to the Firehose Software Engineering Info Session. I'm Marco, I'm one of the founders, one of the code mentors, and I'll run you through our entire program, talk about the intro course, talk about the full program, talk about our Agile Team project, everything you need to know to make kind of an informed decision and figure out are we the right fit for you to achieve your goals, to get where you want to be. Now, let's first go over what are we talking about in details. First of all, I want to always talk about why are we doing this? Why are we going into coding, software engineering? What's the benefit here? And why does that make sense for you? Then I want to talk about our introduction course, the 2 weeks free course. I know a lot of you who are watching here right now are coding through that right now. So I quickly want to give an overview of just for the few people who may have not dove into that and not started coding with us. And then I'll talk about the full program, right? I want to talk about the web applications that we're building. I want to talk about the algorithms, the data structures. Also want to mention the Agile Team project. And then last, I want to also figure out what actually, how this helps you to get in a position where you find a job, and how we engineered our program to make things click for you at any given moment. Okay, let's dive in. Why are we doing this, right? And I think there's two main reasons why we're doing this. And the first one is software engineering and web development is an extremely in-demand skill, right? We're looking at hundreds of thousands of open job positions. So that is something that is really, really valuable for you to learn as a skill because there's such a big demand. But I think the second reason that I want to mention is something that I personally think is a lot more powerful and has a lot more motivation behind it. And that is that it's something that's really amazing if you can go and create. You can go and build something that affects hundreds of thousands, millions of people on the web, right? You can build something to help people make something faster, improve their lives. Like what we're doing here, we're building an online learning platform, an education platform where people from around the world use that to actually get ahead in life and change their life for the better. And that's something that I'm really excited about as a software engineer. And I think that's something that you could get, hopefully, really excited about as well. Now, let's dive in. Let's talk about the intro course, right? Our intro course, 2 weeks long, pretty straightforward. We have you build a portfolio page. First, a splash page, which is your name, your picture, a bit bio. Then we add the web apps that you're going to build. We add some algorithms to highlight your code. Right? We do that HTML, CSS, and then the rest of the intro course is basically focusing on Ruby, the programming language, have you build a few scripts, and progress from one coding challenge to the next to the next. So one thing that's worth to point out is that we actually review each of you guys' code. So if you guys go through code with us, do code submissions, we have a team there who reviews the code, gives you feedback, tells you how you can improve your code. And that gets you kind of in that mindset of what's happening in the real world, where we oftentimes as software developers review each other's code and try to work as a team to improve it, right? And we're starting that out in a light version, already an intro course where we review your code. And then once you have all your coding submissions sent over to us and we've given you the thumbs up, you accept it into the full program. At that point, you can choose a starting date. We start new students every Monday and then dive in. That starting date can be right the next Monday if we have space available, or it can be several months down the line so you can plan or arrange your life accordingly if you want to, maybe quit your job or work with us part-time while you have your job. Maybe there's vacation coming up, all those kind of stuff, things that you need to organize. But let's dive into the full program. Full program, we kind of have these two strands going on that all steer towards the same goal. And the one is the web application part of it, where you're building web apps, you're learning Ruby, you're learning the Rails framework, and the other one is our algorithm and our data structure section. That's where you get deep dive into the Ruby programming language and how to write algorithms, how to build something that's pretty complex in terms of writing code and solving something that's more challenging than, for example, what you will go through in the intro course. Now, let's talk about the web application part first. Web applications we're starting out pretty easy. Obviously, we have to install a professional web development environment on your machine first. For everyone who might ask me afterwards, does it work for PC? Does it work only on Mac? We have a custom installation guide that works equally well on PCs and Macs, and if you have a Linux machine, we'll figure that out too. Hundreds of students go through our program, so obviously we'll figure out something that works for your machine. Now, after that, we have you build the first web application. The first web app is something simple. We take a quote, store it in the database, randomly pull it out, and display it on our page, right? We push it all live onto a server, and we wrap it into a mobile-first design, so it looks good on any kind of devices, desktop, tablet, mobile phone. And that's something for you to just get familiar with how the Rails framework works. There's a concept called Model View Controller, the architecture around that. You need to understand how that works to become a web developer. Now, we do that usually within a week. Then the next one, we build a Yelp clone. And the Yelp clone is a lot more complex than our first quote generating app. And the Yelp clone is has a lot of integrations with other tools and APIs, right? For starters, the core features of the Yelp clone is we take in an address, we translating that address into longitude and latitude coordinates, and then we integrate with the Google Map API, so we get a pin on the map. And our students have used that to do pretty much anything around mapping, right? They map, we say pizza spots because I like pizza. They map the best climbing spots, best surf spots, like quiet places in New York City to relax or meditate. They did sushi places, all types of restaurants, right? And they used that Yelp clone to individualize it and make it their own. Now, the other features that are in that Yelp clone is obviously user registration, so users can sign in, sign out, set up user accounts. We have star ratings, user commenting. We have automated email notifications. So if somebody leaves a comment or gives a rating on a certain place, then the owner of that place, whoever set that up, gets an email notification. Hey, you should check it out. You just got a new rating. Standard stuff. We also build a user dashboard to show some analytics, right? And that, you can already tell from my description, is a much more complex web app, but it's not nearly as far along as we want you to get. So we're now in week, first month and a half, maybe, depending on how fast you go through the program. Now, next up, we build a two-sided marketplace, and that's already a lot more complex. So if you think about a two-sided marketplace, right, what we have is two types of users. We make it an educational marketplace, so you have instructors that can create courses, video courses that they can upload, and you have students that can purchase those courses. And when I say purchase, that's a key word, right? We integrate with an API called Stripe that allows us to process credit card payments that go through the platform. And now we have two different types of users, money flowing through, and things get a lot more complex on a database level. So that's why we have to go deep into the database and actually make sure we have all these relationships hooked up properly. Who gets paid what, under which conditions, which student has access to which course. And all of these validations is something that makes that app a lot more complex, but also really, really interesting. Next up, we go into what's called test-driven development, and we build an app with test-driven development in mind. Now, I always like to zoom out at that point and quickly explain what that is, because I know some of you watching already have a little background in coding, some not, so I always want to make sure I level the playing field. Test-driven development is basically, we as developers want to write automated software tests, so we can have confidence in the features that we're building, they're not broken. So every time we build a new feature on an old one, we can run our old test suite, and it's basically nothing else but us telling the computer, hey, click on all the buttons and make sure everything is working. Test-driven development is the next step up from that, where we actually write a software test before we build a feature. When our software test at the beginning fails because there's no feature, then we build the feature, and then the software test passes. And that's test-driven development. That's the industry standard. Read up on it if you want to know more. We teach you that in depth, and it's something that will become your bread and butter as a developer. And I think there's very, very few companies and jobs out there right now that would hire anyone or let anyone build a feature without having a good test coverage and writing tests on top of it. So we're focusing on that a lot, and you build an entire app with that test-driven development mindset. And then moving forward, we go into JavaScript as well. So JavaScript is something that is really important. We teach you that after the Ruby language, because the learning curve is a lot easier to master in JavaScript. It's a lot easier to understand after you already have your first language, Ruby, under your belt. What we built there is a to-do app, so we build it from scratch, and it gives you a really good deep dive into JavaScript and how to integrate JavaScript into an existing application like any of your apps that you built before, and also how to build it standalone from scratch. Now, that's kind of the web development track, the building the applications. Now, there's also the algorithm side, right? And we do anything from starting out with simple coding challenges as a continuation of our intro course, and then going really deep into like search algorithms, sorting algorithms, anything that might come up in a technical interview process. So that's one part of it, but it's also about to understand how to actually build something complex, something that's more complex than, for example, a Google Map API integration or sending automated email notifications and integrating with an SMTP server, right? We do that on the algorithms and database structures because knowing how to write logic and doing that complex stuff is what will happen in the real world every single day. You get paid and you get hired to solve complex problems through code. And that's our training suite right here with the algorithms and the data structures. Now, you're going through both of them pretty much in parallel, and we suggest what you should tackle at the right moment when you're ready for it based on your performance in the program. Now, once you go through this, at one point they kind of converge, and that's when we start our Agile Team project, right? Just to recap, we did a lot of web applications that we just built with through our algorithms and our data structures, and now you start being part of a team. Now, I always like to zoom out and explain, why are we doing this? And why am I like harping on here? Why this is so important, right? It's because the best applications out there are built by amazing teams in the real world. So if you know how to be part of an amazing team, you have such a huge advantage over everyone who doesn't know that. Because me as a hiring manager, as the CTO, VP of engineering, when I'm looking at candidates, right, when I get applications for open positions, I'm looking at who can have an impact on day one. And what I need to know is, are they able to be part of my team? So no one codes by themselves in the real world when they build complex products that actually have millions of users or even thousands of users. So knowing that you can demonstrate how to be a team player and code together in an agile web development or software engineering workflow is huge. I can talk about later a little bit how to actually demonstrate that in a pretty easy and convincing way to a potential employer. Now, what happens in a group project, right? So first of all, you get paired together with 3 or 4 other students, and then on top of your one-on-one mentorship sessions, you also get a technical lead, another mentor that runs your group project. That's also a senior web developer, and that person will run you through and basically run that project the same way they would run a project, as if they were managing their own team in their job, be it like a PayPal, Product Hunt, be it at Bitly, be it at Flickr, be it at Wells Our Mentors, like Shopify, any eBay, any of these companies, right? They're running you through the same way they would do it in agile fashion. What that means is like, you're going to get tickets and features that you need to do assigned to you, maybe together with another person so you can pair a program. You have regular code reviews where you need to go through the code. You get your own code reviewed, you review other people's code. You make sure that everything gets pushed live to the server at regular intervals. You join stand-ups. You go to make sure all the stories are taken care of before you move on to the next one. Make sure you're not blocking people, right? All that communication that involves making sure we work effectively as a team is happening in that group project. Now, why is that group project so important? And I want to say that like one more time, right? It's like the combination of you understanding web application development, building an app, and then building something complex where you need to bring the algorithms in. What we're building is a chess game inside of a Rails application. Now, why did we choose a chess game, right? Some of you might be like, oh, come on, a chess game, that's so boring. Can't we build the next Facebook? The reason we choose a chess game is because when we talk to our mentors, right, we have hundreds of mentors on our platform, 100 plus mentors right now on our platform, right? All senior developers. When we talk to them and we ask them, what would impress you if somebody were to come, hey, I built this as a group, right? They were like, thinking about it. No one said a social network, any of that. But when we said like, what about a chess game, right? They're like, wow, this is complicated. If I just think about, for a second, all the rules that are inside of a chess game, like that I need to implement through logic. How do I check for checkmate, the castling move? All the different rules that chess has to make sure they're not violated inside of an application. That's something really tricky to pull off, and building that together as a team really gets you into that real world mindset and makes a hiring manager see like, wow, this is kind of what we're doing every single day. We're solving hard problems and thinking about how we can implement them in code. You doing that and demonstrating that is gonna, again, give you a huge leg up in demonstrating, hey, I'm a high impact employee from day one. You can trust me with being at your team, being part of your team, and actually have an impact. Now, I want to throw out that I'm also going to answer questions. So if you have any, I've already received a few emails. You guys should have all received an email from me. So feel free, reply to that email or use the little chat on the side next to the Hangout. Sometimes that doesn't work, so email might be better. Feel free to shoot a few over and I'll go through. One question that I received before I jump into that, right? Quick highlight, right? It's like, talked about the intro course, the first 2 weeks. If you haven't started, go through that. Code with us, we review your code. It's a requirement for you to be accepted into our full program, so go through that. And you have 2 weeks time. If you need an extension, no problem, I can give you another extension, but go through that. It will help you out a lot. So definitely check out the Intercourse if you haven't. And then like the curriculum, right? Again, we build web applications and we go through algorithm training. These two paths converge when you're ready to join the Agile Team project to really code under the wing of a senior developer, VP of engineering, next to your normal mentor, to build something that's really complex, the same way it's done in the real world. Now, let's go through some questions. What do we have here? Is looking outside. Here's one question, like, how are you guys different, right? There's a ton of choices out there, and that's a question I get a lot. Some of our mentors get that too. Some of our, a lot of students ask that before they join us, and that's a total valid question. And I think there's several key differentiators. I can't say all of them, otherwise we'd be here forever, but I think three main ones are, I think the first is depth of curriculum, right? Most programs, and pretty much all programs, don't focus on algorithms and data structures, even though they're so important for technical interview process, right? Programs don't focus on them. So it's kind of like, it's really important, you don't really get it, really hard finding a job. We focus on that starting in week 2. It's not an add-on, that's totally the core of our program as well. So it's just 2 paths. So depth of the curriculum, algorithms, data structures, that we focus on test-driven development, right? That really matters. And then the Agile Team project, talked about that in length. It's like, you know, you have a curriculum that gets you fully prepared to actually work like it's done in the real world. And that matters a lot if you actually apply for a job. And I can talk that in a while because somebody just asked me, like, what's the job preparation? How will I be ready? So I'll talk about that in a moment as well. The next thing is like our mentors, right? So if I'm looking at the senior web developers that we have in staff, I mentioned it as well. They worked at Shopify, eBay, PayPal, Product Hunt, Techstars, White C Combinator companies, right? Flickr, Bitly, and they were running teams, they were individual contributors, and being under the wing of a developer like this, I kind of look at it as a step equation, right? You go into one of these sessions and you basically make a jump in your ability every single session that you have with a mentor like this, because they're really like pushing you to the next level, and it's a really invaluable guidance for you. And then I don't want to say last, or maybe not least, it's our community of our students, right? We have hundreds and hundreds of students, and they really bond together. And they're always in our Slack channel where they chat with each other. They help each other out. We just launched a community page, so people starting asking questions there. They also maintain 2 open source projects, which is really helpful if you want to land a job, because you work together even more with other people. And they organize regular, like usually monthly, every 6 weeks, lightning talks, which are the equivalent of a conference, a technical Ruby or Rails conference. Students come together and they give talks, and everyone is well invited to give a talk, and people like discuss them afterwards. And usually I learn something new. Somebody discovered a cool new tool about debugging that I've never used, and they give a presentation about how to integrate that tool, how to use it, what's helpful, continuous integration, the latest thing on Ruby or Rails 5, the latest tricks on the Ruby language, right? Something that helps. We even had some designer come through our program. They say like, hey, here's how you need to look at design as a developer. It's like the developer design 101 lecture that we got. So it's really interesting. And that kind of community is really like that giving back mentality that we're having. And that is really what helps you even months, years after you graduated from us. It doesn't really end. There's always a place where you can go back, ask questions, and get help. Okay, let's keep going. That was why we're different. Oh yeah, so like, what about the you know, job support and what matters most? And I think what matters most is like those 2 things, right? Technical interview is kind of like, it's all about skills and you demonstrating that you have the ability to be part of a team and have an impact there. And now Agile Team Project really switches things around, because you can basically go in and be like, here's what I know with one simple link. Basically what you're going to have is so-called pull requests on GitHub, which is where your coding portfolio mostly lives. And you're going to get a pull request, which is nothing other than think about an organized bucket of code that you can show to a potential technical hiring manager, CTO, VP of engineering, and be like, look at this. This will show you within 30 seconds my coding ability. And inside of that pull request, that organized bucket of code, you will have your business logic, right? Your algorithms that you integrated inside of the application, your tests, right? Think about test-driven development, how you've done that. Then there will be a part with communication back and forth, comments that you received on individual lines of your code during the code review. And then there will be your responses to that feedback in written format, like verbally, oh, great addition, I think I'm going to change that, like X, Y, and Z. And then there will be your improved, your refactored code. If you sent me this, if you sent that to a VP of engineering, you can pretty much within 30 seconds, a minute, you're like, wow, this is where that, the quality of code that person could write and contribute to my team. And you can see that they're able to write their work together as a team, right? And that kind of summarizes it really easy. And most people, they just send out like, oh, here's my coding portfolio, and a link to a coding portfolio, which is helpful, but it's really hard to understand like what matters, what did you do in the course, what did you do by yourself, what do you do with the team, and showing like, here's what I did with the team, and have it be impressive, like as hard as a chess game. And I told you, we talked to a lot of people about what would impress them, and the chess game was like, oh yeah, this is really awesome. So that's why we're doing that, right? Coming through the door straight, being impressive. Now, the other thing is like, you know, we also obviously help you with your resume. We help you with like highlighting your experience that you received through us, something that you may have before already when you coded on other projects, right? We help you with your LinkedIn profile. We do the whiteboarding, mock interviews, all of that you get as well. And we're also working on a completely revamped session, a whole new track, like 30-something lessons. That, well, I think 37. I hope no one from the curriculum team is watching right now if I botched the numbers, but I think it's 30 plus lessons. And they actually help you with how do you brand yourself as a developer properly. On some exciting partnerships coming as well, but I can't just announce that yet. But that's something that you will have access as well. Do you have access to the entire coding platform and the massive online learning resource for life after you sign up. Okay, that was pretty much my answer to that question. That's another question. Are you teaching algorithms as well? Yep, I mentioned that. If you haven't caught it, maybe watch the recording of this. But yeah, definitely we dive deep into algorithms. It's totally baked into our curriculum. Let's see, do we have any other question? I think that's pretty much it. I can quickly double check on the on our YouTube page. But if you have any questions, email me now. I'll do another quick check here right now. If not, then we can wrap this up. As I said before, totally people are signing up right now for our intro course, which is awesome. Welcome to the platform, Boris. It's great. Let me quickly see. Do I still have that here? Hope this does not autoplay where I look for this. Okay, here we go. Okay, Tim had a good question. Are you able to work faster than the time you're given prior reaching your team project? Yep, absolutely. So no one is holding you back, Tim. So if you're doing well and you're going through the program, you can absolutely work faster, right? We cheer you on. If you go to a certain point where you're ready to jump on an Agile Team project, we let you on to the team project, no problem. So no one is ever holding you back. Keep in mind, we have over 900 hours of content on our platform. So if you go faster, usually what you meant to us, what we're doing, we're suggesting, like, depending on your performance and how well you do it, additional areas where you can deep dive in, right? So it could be like test-driven development, could be algorithms, whatever you're interested in as well as what makes sense depending on your goals, because we're looking at your goals as well, and we ask you for your goals, and depending on that, we can actually personalize our curriculum a little bit. So I hope that answers your question. So I've got another one. Zoe asked me, is this program all we need to obtain an entry-level job? Zoe, I think, like, absolutely yes, we prepare you for that. That's the goal. Like our graduates, if you look on our alumni page, so firehoseproject.com/alumni, you see what kind of jobs, job titles and everything our students actually landed. And you can also see where they work right now. And you can click on their review. That gives you, if you have tonight, read those reviews, right? These are in-depth conversations, not like 2-3 sentences where they explain their experience in the program. And I think everyone who's watching right now, that would be really helpful. So go through our intro course, code there. If you can make it through Intercourse, you're ready to jump in, right? If the intro course is too difficult for you and you maybe you're not able to submit all the coding challenges, definitely try to submit the coding challenges, right? Don't be shy there. Go through, submit them, and we give you feedback, and you can submit them as often as you want. And then if you realize like, maybe I want to do something else, email me and I'll suggest a few other resources that you can do it beforehand so you can come back and then you're ready. But give it a good shot, give it a good effort to go through our intro course, and that should get you to a really solid level. And keep in mind, our intro course isn't easy. It's not something we put up to be like, oh yeah, let's have an easy little thing that people can do. It's actually pretty challenging. And if you can solve any of the challenges, give yourself a pat on the back because you deserve it. Okay, what else do we have? We got one more question. Oh, Jordan asked a question. Do you keep track of hiring for graduates? That is really hard for us to do out of multiple different ways. So I wish I could say like, yes, 98%, 95%. The problem here is that we have a lot of students that are actually currently holding a job with no reason to switching jobs. There's also students who want to switch careers, but they work full-time and go through our program part-time. So then they switch their mind, and like keeping track of all that is incredibly hard. And we're not trying to sell our program through marketing metrics that we can't back up. My background is in statistics. I could definitely come up with a rate. Can I prove that that one is 100% accurate? Probably not. Because of that, we're not throwing out numbers like that. If there's other programs who throw out numbers like that, fair enough. If you think that is the better fit, feel free to go with them. We're not going to do that. We're not going to say like, here's a 90% job placement rate if we cannot 100% back that up. Gut feeling is, from what I know, talking to a lot of other programs, they can't really back those numbers up either, but they leave it out there because it sells. We're not selling our stuff like that. We're honest and really transparent. That's not something that we do. So if that's a deal breaker to you, I'm sorry, but we don't have those numbers and the transparency in place. Let's see. Wow, we're getting a lot of questions. Awesome. Tim asked another one. How deep do the later coding challenges as lesson projects go? Yeah, sure. Tim, like what the intro course is like, thanks, Jordan. Appreciate it. I'm just being honest here. That's what you get with the Firehose project. Nothing but honesty. That's why read our reviews and look at our alumni page. That's what everyone will tell you. And I'm pretty sure if we didn't know what we were doing, we wouldn't get those reviews from all of our alumni, and we also would have not, like taught where we taught before. Like we taught at like Harvard Business School, we taught at Carnegie Mellon, we taught at like RISD, Brown University, Babson, one of the top-ranked entrepreneurial schools, and we taught web application development there. And that was all before we started the online program, like the Firehose project, right? And we took what we learned in the classroom and we put that into our online learning platform, and we engineered the entire platform around making things click for you. So if we didn't know what we were doing, I don't think Harvard would keep you among us if you could run another course there. Okay, there's another question. Sorry, Tim, I was distracted in the middle because I wanted to quickly wrap it up, the answer with Jordan. Yeah, so basically, hey, the intro course was a little light, the HTML, CSS, does it get more complex? Yes, it will absolutely get more complex. You kind of halfway through maybe the intro course already, dive into the Ruby, see how you're doing on that, but know that we ramp up the complexity really fast. And in the full program, we can have you go through things a lot faster. Feel free to speed it up. And if the intro course is on the easy side for you, just go on your side nav on the left, look for the challenge sections and knock them out, submit them one after another. We review them. If you give you the thumbs up, you basically test it out and you can go into our full program. So don't hold back on anything, and know that that's awesome. Joy's already more curious. Hey, you can always ask. And Tim, know that things ramp up pretty fast after the intro course, but there's enough support that you have. That's another question. I'll just get that via an email as well. It's like, what sort of support system, right? And something you guys gotta understand is like the combination of what mentors and our Q&A forum actually do, right? And that's something that I sometimes mention into a session, and somebody just mentioned via email. It's like, how's the support system, right? So it's like, you notice that in intro session, you have an error message, you take a screenshot, you go into our forum, and we help you really fast to get unstuck, right? But the goal is that you do not spin your wheels waiting until a mentor is available or something like that, right? Or you like need to wait around, you don't know how to proceed, right? Take a screenshot of the error message, post it in there, we help you out, get you back running. And that means that you're not wasting your time looking for missing commas or typos or anything in your code when you could spend that time actually learning more and moving your skills forward. And what that also does is when you come to a mentorship session, right, your one-on-one mentorship sessions, you're literally error-free. So you can really deep dive into what matters, right? You don't need to spend half hour looking through code and fixing 5 error messages when you could have taken care of that easy stuff. Easy, right? It still takes some time beforehand through our forum, and in the mentorship sessions, you can deep dive into an algorithm. You can build an additional feature on top of the application that you always wanted to build. You can go through test-driven development, and you can work through a really complex feature that you add in the Agile Team project, so your group can review it the next day, right? And that is what mentorship sessions are for. So if you're thinking about that support system, always think about it in a combination of the Q&A forum and the mentorship sessions, and that enables you to have really effective and in-depth mentorship sessions, because you don't need to waste the time, not waste the time, but you don't need to spend the time on stuff you could have dealt with beforehand. So I always want to throw that out. Let's see, I think that's pretty much it. So I'll check my inbox one more time. I think I'm good. We're about half hour through. That's a solid info session. Lots of people watching. I hope all of you can't wait to get back. You know, don't listen to Marco anymore. Go back in, start coding. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me. Happy to help you out. If you want to jump on a one-on-one call, happy to do so too. Just email me. We'll figure something out. Everyone, thanks so much for coming. Super awesome that you guys all code with us. If not, sign up for Intercourse. We'll want to teach you stuff. Thumbs up, everyone. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.